The palace of Lumerus stood high on a cliff of blue stone, glowing under the soft light of the twin moons. Every hallway, every tower, and every balcony was touched by gentle morning light. It was a peaceful day, and the royal workers believed nothing surprising would happen. They expected a quiet morning, followed by a simple ceremony in the afternoon. After all, the queen's daughter, Princess Araloon, was finally returning home after years of training among distant stars. Many in the palace thought her return would be calm, maybe even uneventful, but they were wrong. The Queen of Lumerus, Seralith, waited on the landing platform with a small group of guards and advisors. She stood tall and graceful, her pale silver robes flowing behind her. She had imagined this moment for a long time. Her daughter left as a young princess who still hesitated during meetings and often struggled to express her ideas. Now, Araloon was returning as a full diplomat, someone who learned from many species, including humans. The queen believed she would return wiser, more focused, and ready to take her place in the royal council. But still, a quiet concern rested in the queen's heart. She wondered what her daughter had seen out there. What experiences shaped her? How had the long years changed her? These questions filled her mind as she waited. Watching the sky for the arrival shuttle, a soft hum grew louder across the landing field. A silver shuttle slowly descended, its engines glowing with soft blue light. The guards stood straighter. The advisors adjusted their robes. The queen folded her hands, preparing for the moment she would finally see her daughter again. The shuttle touched the ground with a gentle thud. A long pause followed. The ramp slowly lowered, and warm steam escaped into the air. Everyone leaned forward slightly, expecting to see the princess walk out alone. Instead, they all froze. Princess Araloon stepped onto the landing platform with two small human children at her sides. One was a little boy with dark hair and bright eyes. He held Araloona's right hand, like he had no intention of letting go. On her left side stood a small girl with soft brown hair. Watching the guards nervously, both children were dressed in simple travel clothes, and their faces looked tired but hopeful. No one in the palace moved. The guards stared. The advisors whispered among themselves. Even the queen blinked in surprise, unsure if she was seeing correctly. Araloon looked calm, though her eyes carried long months of travel and responsibility. She gave her mother a gentle smile, but her hands remained firmly linked with the two humans. The queen took a slow step forward. Araloon, my daughter. Araloon bowed her head respectfully. It is good to be home, mother. The queen's gaze shifted to the children. They were standing close to her daughter, half hiding behind her as if protecting themselves from unfamiliar faces. And these two? The queen asked softly. Before Araloon could answer, the little girl quietly stepped even closer to her, holding tighter to her hand. The boy looked at the queen with wide curiosity but said nothing. Araloon placed a reassuring hand on their shoulders. Mother, these are human children. Their names are Liam and Mira. I found them on a damaged human colony during my journey home. A murmur went through the watching crowd. Many nobles believed humans were too fragile to travel Lumerian worlds. Others believed they were unpredictable. No one expected to see human children being protected by a royal princess. The queen kept her voice calm. You found them? Alone? Araloon nodded. The colony suffered a deep space storm. Much of it was destroyed. These two were left with no one when I arrived. They were frightened, but they trusted me. I could not leave them. The queen understood her daughter's compassion, but she also knew the palace would react strongly. She saw the way the people around them whispered. Humans were rare on Lumerus, and seeing children so young, so vulnerable would raise questions for days. But the queen also saw something else. The princess was standing tall and steady, her arms slightly extended to shield the children. It was a protective stance, a stance she never used in her youth. Araloon had changed. We can speak inside, the queen finally said. Bring the children. We will make sure they feel safe. Araloon smiled with relief and guided Liam and Mira forward. The boy held onto her hand, curious about everything around him. while the girl stayed close to Ariloon's side, still shy and unsure. As they walked toward the interior of the palace, the guards stepped back to allow them through. Liam stared at their uniforms with fascination. Mira hid her face for a moment when she noticed how tall the guards were, but Ariloon gently squeezed her hand, and she relaxed. The palace halls were long and shining, decorated with soft lights that glowed in patterns along the walls. Liam looked around with wide eyes. Mira looked uncertain, until she saw a small, decorative fountain and whispered, "It looks like stars falling." Her voice was quiet but full of wonder. Ariloon gave her a small smile. "Yes, it is meant to look like that." The queen watched all three of them as they walked. Her daughter guided the children with patience. She pointed at things that might interest them, spoke in soft words, and allowed them to move at their own pace. It was the kind of gentle leadership the queen had always hoped her daughter would learn, leadership based on care, not power. They reached a quiet chamber at the heart of the palace. Soft cushions, warm lights, and gentle colors made the room calm and welcoming. Ariloon led the children to a comfortable seat. Both Liam and Mira sat close to her, unsure of the new environment. One of the palace workers brought a tray of warm fruit cubes, a common Lumerian snack. Liam took one, sniffed it curiously, then smiled. "It tastes sweet," he said happily. Mira tasted one next and nodded with a small smile. "It's nice." Ariloon looked pleased that they were comfortable. The queen watched from a short distance, thinking deeply. When she finally approached, the children grew silent again, but Ariloon placed a hand on their backs to reassure them. "They trust you greatly," the queen said quietly to her daughter. "They needed someone," Ariloon replied, "and I happened to be there." The queen sat down across from her daughter. "Ariloon, the palace will question this. They may ask why you brought them here, when human authorities could have handled their rescue." Ariloon kept her voice steady. "I tried contacting human rescue fleets, but the storm damaged most communication channels. These two had no one else. I could not wait and risk losing them." The queen nodded slowly. She could see the truth in her daughter's eyes. Ariloon had acted from compassion, not impulse. "What do you plan to do with them now?" the queen asked. Ariloon looked at the children, who were gradually relaxing. "For now," she said softly, "I want them to stay somewhere safe until human authorities arrive. They do not want to be separated from me yet. They have been through a lot." Liam suddenly leaned against Ariloon's side, as if confirming her words. Mira took Ariloon's hand again, her small fingers wrapping around it tightly. The queen saw everything she needed to see. Her daughter had grown into someone who placed compassion above appearance and responsibility above convenience. The princess, who once hesitated, now stood firm in her choices. The queen gave a gentle smile. "Very well. They may stay in the palace. We will make arrangements for them. They will be safe." Ariloon let out a slow breath of relief. "Thank you, mother." But the queen was not done. She leaned closer and spoke in a quieter tone. "Ariloon, you have changed. You returned not only stronger but also kinder. These children are a part of that change, aren't they?" Ariloon looked down at Liam and Mira, who now leaned comfortably against her. "Yes. They reminded me what leadership truly means. Not power, not control, but care." The queen placed a warm hand on her daughter's shoulder. "Then, perhaps your years away were not simply training, but preparation for something bigger." The princess did not answer. She simply looked at the two human children beside her, both safe, both smiling at last. Outside the chamber, the palace buzzed with whispers and questions. But inside, the queen watched the small group on the cushions and felt something unexpected, a calm hope she had not felt in years. Her daughter had come home, but she had not come home alone. She had returned with a new purpose, and two small humans who already seemed to belong at her side. Life inside the palace changed quietly in the days after Princess Ariloon returned with the two human children. At first, the change was small. A few guards noticed soft footsteps in the morning. A few workers heard gentle laughter in the halls. But soon everyone realized the palace was no longer the silent, formal place it used to be. Liam and Mira, though shy at first, began exploring their new environment with a curiosity that surprised everyone. The Palace of Lumeris was huge, filled with long halls of glowing patterns and soft musical tones that shifted with movement. Liam seemed to love these sounds. Every time he stepped on one of the glowing floor tiles, it produced a soft note. He followed the lights, making small melodies as he walked, smiling as if discovering a new world with each step. Mira was quieter and more careful. She stayed closer to Araloon, always studying her surroundings before moving. She would touch the walls gently, feeling the smooth texture, and whisper things like, "It feels warm," or "It looks like it's breathing." Araloon explained to her that the palace used living stone that reacted to energy in the air, making it feel alive. Mira listened with wide eyes, fascinated by everything she learned. The queen observed all of this from a distance. She watched how her workers reacted, how her guards became gentler around the children, how the palace atmosphere softened just a little. It was as if the human children brought a bit of calm joy into a place once filled only with discipline and duty. One morning, while Araloon was in a meeting, the children were invited to spend time in the learning garden. It was a wide open space filled with floating crystal shapes, soft green grass, and gentle fountains that played quiet melodies. The garden was meant for young Lumerians to learn basic problem-solving and focus through simple interactive tasks. The instructor, a tall Lumerian named Vera, greeted them politely. She was trained to teach young nobles and was known for being calm and patient. When she first saw Liam and Mira, she hesitated. She knew humans learned differently, and she was unsure what they might understand. But she smiled kindly and introduced herself. "Welcome to the learning garden. You may play with anything here." The crystals respond to touch and thought. Liam ran toward the nearest crystal structure, a cluster of glowing shapes that floated gently above the ground. He touched one, and it drifted toward him. Mira stayed back at first, but finally approached slowly, curious. Vera watched carefully. She expected the humans to struggle, especially with the puzzle crystals. Even most Lumerian children needed time to understand them. But then something surprising happened. Liam placed his small hands on two floating shapes and moved them together. The crystals glowed brighter, linking perfectly. Mira touched a third crystal. Turning it slightly, it locked into place with a soft chime. Vera blinked. "That is correct. You solved the first formation." Liam looked proud. Mira smiled shyly. Vera decided to test them further. She activated the second formation, a larger one meant for older students. It required careful movement and quick thinking. Again, the children worked together. Liam moved the shapes confidently, and Mira adjusted angles with surprising precision. Within minutes, the formation lit up fully, a task many Lumerian younglings needed weeks to master. Vera stepped back in amazement. "You two are quite talented." Liam shrugged. "Our colony had puzzle games too." "The engineers used them," Mira nodded. "We saw them fix machines. They always used shapes." Vera realized then. These children had grown up surrounded by practical problem-solving, likely watching adults repair equipment often. Their skills came from real life, not just play. She bowed respectfully, impressed in a way she never expected. That afternoon, Araloon returned to find the children proudly explaining their achievements to the queen. Liam demonstrated how he connected the crystals, waving his hands excitedly. Mira spoke softly but confidently. The queen listened with genuine interest. "So the garden recognized your minds and worked with you. That is remarkable." Araloon smiled. "Humans can learn quickly when given comfort and safety. They also observe more than we realize." The queen nodded, thinking deeply. She was beginning to see that these children brought strengths no one in the palace expected. That evening, while walking through the halls, Araloon overheard two workers whispering, "I never thought humans would solve puzzle crystals. They are not ordinary humans. Look how calmly they behave with the princess. They trust her, and she trusts them." Araloon felt a warm pride. It wasn't about proving anything. She simply wanted the children to feel accepted, and slowly, they were. Later that night, a small accident occurred that spread quickly through the palace. A worker named Anali slipped while carrying a tray of delicate data spheres. The spheres rolled across the floor, scattering in different directions. She tried to gather them but slipped again, frustrated and embarrassed. Liam saw everything. Without hesitation, he rushed over and helped gather the spheres. He moved quickly but gently, making sure each sphere was safe. Mira soon joined him, handing spheres back to Anali with a small, kind smile. Anali stared in surprise. Few children, Lumerian or otherwise, would help so eagerly. She thanked them repeatedly, touched by their kindness. Word spread fast. "Did you hear? The human boy helped Anali during the spill." And the girl comforted her. That is rare even among noble children. By the next morning, several palace workers were looking at Liam and Mira with curiosity instead of confusion. Some even smiled at them, which made Mira smile back shyly and made Liam wave happily. Meanwhile, Ariluni spent long hours with her mother in council rooms, explaining what happened on the human colony. The queen listened carefully, not just to the facts, but to the tone of her daughter's voice. Arilun spoke with calm clarity. She no longer doubted her own decisions. She had grown into someone who understood how to be firm and gentle at the same time. During one of these discussions, the queen finally spoke the thoughts she had been holding inside. "Arilun, you care for those children deeply." "Yes," Arilune answered simply. "They depended on me, and I could not turn away from them." "Do you know what the nobles say?" the queen asked. "That humans do not belong here? Or that I made an emotional decision?" Arilune replied calmly. "Yes," the queen admitted. "But I have watched you. These children did not weaken your resolve. They strengthened it." Arilune looked surprised. "You believe that?" The queen nodded. "You used to hesitate. You doubted yourself. But since you returned with them, you stand straighter. You speak with conviction. I thought training across the stars would prepare you, but it seems these two humans prepared you even more." Arilune felt her chest warm. She glanced toward the door, where faint laughter echoed. Liam and Mira were likely playing with the soft light tiles again, creating little melodies in the hall. "They taught me what it means to be responsible for others," Arilune said softly. "Not because of duty, but because of heart." The queen offered a faint smile. "Perhaps that is the lesson you were meant to learn all along." That afternoon, the palace hosted a small welcome ceremony for Arilune. It was meant to be a formal event, but Liam and Mira watched with open curiosity, their eyes following every movement and sound. Many nobles attended, and although some still seemed unsure about the human children, they remained respectful. During the ceremony, Liam tugged on Arilune's sleeve and whispered, "Why are they staring?" "Because they want to understand you," she answered gently. Mira leaned closer to Arilune. "Do we belong here?" Arilune placed her arms around both children. "Yes. For now, this is your home. You are safe." The queen watched her daughter hold the children close, and her heart softened. She saw that this was not a temporary bond. It was real, shaped by hardship and trust. As the ceremony continued, more whispers spread through the crowd. "The princess looks different, calmer. She holds those humans as if they are part of her family." Maybe they are. That evening, after the palace quieted, Arilune took the children to the moonlight terrace. It overlooked the shining sea and reflected the silver glow of the twin moons. Liam and Mira sat beside her, leaning against her shoulders. "Is this place always so beautiful?" Liam asked. "Yes," Arilune replied. "But tonight feels more special." Mira looked up. "Because we're here?" Arilune smiled softly. "Yes, because you're here." The children relaxed, comforted by her words. For the first time since leaving their colony, they felt safe. Truly safe. And the palace of Lumerus, once filled only with duty and silence, now hummed with new life, quiet, gentle, and full of unexpected hope. The palace of Lumerus was calmer than it had been in years. The queen noticed her workers moved with lighter steps, and even the guards carried a softer tone in their voices. Liam and Mira were becoming a gentle, steady presence in the halls. Their laughter echoed in places where silence had ruled before. Araloon watched them each day with quiet pride, believing the worst moments of their journey were finally behind them. But peace did not last long. One morning, while the palace prepared for its daily meetings, an urgent alarm rang across the communication towers. It was not loud or frightening, but it was sharp enough to make everyone pause. The queen, standing in her meeting chamber, looked up immediately. A guard hurried in. "Your Majesty, a message has arrived from the Outer Shield Network. They detected an unusual storm moving in our direction." The queen frowned. "Another storm? We have strong planetary defenses. There should be no danger." The guard lowered his voice. "This storm has the same energy pattern as the one that damaged the human colony." The queen straightened in surprise. The same storm, the same type that changed the lives of 2 human children forever. "Summon Princess Araloon at once," she said. Araloon was in the learning garden with Liam and Mira when the guard found her. The children were playing with floating light patterns, drawing shapes in the air. Mira had just created a star-like design that slowly rotated above her hand. The guard bowed. "Princess, the queen needs you immediately." "It is urgent." Araloon nodded and turned to the children. "I need to attend a meeting. Stay here with Vera, all right?" Liam nodded bravely, while Mira gave a small, worried glance. Araloon touched Mira's cheek gently. "I will be back soon." The princess hurried through the palace and entered the Grand Council chamber. The queen, several advisors, and senior engineers were gathered around a floating hologram of the Lumerian system. A glowing mass of swirling clouds representing the storm moved closer to the planet. Araloon stepped forward. "Mother, what is happening?" The queen gestured to the hologram. "This storm is headed toward our world. Our defenses are strong, but the energy signatures match the same storm that destroyed the human colony." Araloon's heart tightened. She remembered the sight of the broken colony, the frightened children, the collapsed houses. That storm had not been normal. It carried strange distortions and unpredictable spikes of energy. The head engineer explained. "Our shields can handle normal storms, but this one is unstable. Its energy shifts too quickly. Our systems cannot synchronize with it." Araloon studied the hologram closely. "Have you tested human-style modulation? Their shields use flexible patterns instead of fixed ones." The engineers exchanged uncertain looks. The queen raised an eyebrow. "Explain." Araloon pointed to the swirling storm. "Humans design their systems to adapt on the spot. Their shields change quickly, sometimes too quickly, but in rare storms like this, that flexibility can help." One advisor frowned. "Our technology is more advanced. Why rely on human methods?" Araloon's voice remained calm. "Because the storm does not behave normally. Lumerian systems follow fixed rules. But this storm does not follow rules." The room fell silent. Araloon continued. "I saw what it did to the colony. Their equipment failed, but the few devices left working were human-modified. Those lasted longer than anything else." The queen looked at her daughter with deep trust. "What do you recommend?" Araloon took a slow breath. "We combine our shield network with human-style modulation. It may stabilize the system enough to protect the planet." Some advisors hesitated. Others nodded. The queen made her decision. "Then let us try." For the next several hours, the palace transformed into a center of activity. Engineers rushed through halls, carrying tools and crystal modules. Light beams flickered across the shield towers as systems were reconfigured. The queen and Araloon supervised the work alongside senior officers. But Araloon felt something was missing. Something important. She walked to the learning garden where Liam and Mira waited with Vera. Both children looked up the moment they saw her. "Araloon, is everything okay?" Liam asked. She knelt beside them. "There is a storm coming. One like the one that hit your colony." Mira's eyes widened with fear. Araloon immediately touched her hand gently. "You are safe here. I promise." Liam swallowed nervously. "Can we help?" We saw engineers on our colony do things during storms. Maybe we remember something. Araluni blinked. You remember how the engineers worked? Liam nodded earnestly. They always changed the settings quickly. They said the storm kept confusing the machines. Mira added softly. They used patterns. They said the machine needed to follow the storm, not fight it. Aralune stared at the two children, amazed. Their memories might be exactly what the engineers needed. She gently took their hands. Come with me. The engineering command center was filled with floating screens displaying shield patterns, energy spikes, and structural diagrams. The engineers were struggling to match the storm's shifting frequencies. Aralune brought the children forward. These two lived through the storm, she explained. They watched human engineers work under similar conditions. Their insights may help us. The engineers hesitated, some unsure, some doubtful. But the Queen stepped forward. If their knowledge aids us, we will listen. Liam approached the main screen and pointed at the failing shield pattern. The storm doesn't hit all at once. It hits in waves. But your shield stays the same. One engineer leaned closer. He is right. Our shield is constant. Too constant. Mira stepped beside her brother and touched another diagram. This line must change. It should bend, not stay straight. The head engineer adjusted the line according to her suggestion. The system responded with a steady chime, a sign of improvement. Araluni looked proud. Good work, both of you. The Queen nodded approvingly. Very good. Slowly, with Liam's quick observations and Mira's careful reasoning, the engineers adjusted the shield's modulation patterns. The system began syncing more closely with the storm's shifting waves. After hours of work, the engineers finally said the words everyone hoped to hear. The shields are stabilizing. The Queen sighed with relief. But the storm had not yet arrived. They would soon discover if the adjustments were enough. By nightfall, the sky above Lumeris darkened. A faint shimmer appeared at the edge of the atmosphere. The storm approached slowly. Like a great swirling curtain of light and shadow, the air trembled with energy, and soft vibrations passed through the palace floors. Everyone gathered in the observatory tower: the Queen, Aralune, Liam, Mira, engineers, guards, and council members. They all watched as the storm crept closer. Liam held Araluna's hand. Mira held the Queen's, surprising everyone. But the Queen gently squeezed her small fingers, giving the child comfort. The first wave of the storm struck the shield. A bright flash lit the sky, a mix of green, blue, and silver. The shield rippled, bending with the pressure. The planet shook slightly. A few people gasped. The engineers monitored the readings. The shield is holding. Modulation is stable. Another wave hit stronger, faster. The shield bent again but did not break. Mira whispered. It's working. Then came the third wave, the strongest yet. The shield flared brilliantly, the palace lights flickered, and the entire world seemed to hold its breath. A long moment passed. Then the system steadied. The storm began to pass around the planet, sliding along the shield instead of breaking through it. The engineers cheered quietly. Guards exhaled in relief. The Queen closed her eyes. Grateful. Aralune lifted both children in her arms, spinning them gently. You did it. You helped save this world. Mira smiled softly. Liam laughed with joy. The Queen approached them with slow, graceful steps. She placed her hand on Aralune's shoulder. You have shown wisdom, my daughter. And these children, they have shown courage. She looked at Liam and Mira with warmth in her eyes. You are welcome on Lumeris, she said gently. You helped protect us all. The children smiled, shy but proud. As the last traces of the storm drifted away into the night, the Queen realized something she had not seen clearly before. Her daughter had not only rescued two children, she had brought new hope, new ideas, and new strength into their world. And this was only the beginning. The storm passed slowly, leaving a calm glow across the sky of Lumeris. The twin moons reflected on the quiet sea, and for the first time in hours, the palace felt peaceful again. Engineers rested with relieved smiles, guards loosened their tense shoulders, and the Queen allowed herself a long breath of gratitude. Thanks to the combined efforts of Aralune, Liam, Mira, and the Palace team, their world remained safe. For the next few days, people across the kingdom heard stories of the human children who helped guide the shield systems. They whispered with curiosity, surprise, and growing respect. Some nobles even asked to meet the children, wanting to see the young humans who had played a part in saving the planet, but Aralune kept the children close. They had gone through enough stress, and she wanted them to feel calm again. Each morning, she took them to peaceful places around the palace, the moonlight terrace, the learning garden, and the soft water fountains that reflected the stars even during the day. Liam loved to toss small pebbles into the glowing water to watch the ripples turn into shimmering light patterns. Mira preferred to sit quietly beside Aralune, her small hand resting on the princess's sleeve. One evening, while the palace prepared for dinner, a new message arrived at the Queen's communication chamber. The Queen read it carefully, her expression growing thoughtful. She sent for Aralune right away. Aralune arrived with Liam and Mira by her sides, their small footsteps echoing softly. "Mother, you called for me." The Queen nodded gently. "Yes, a human fleet has arrived in our system. They received delayed signals regarding the damaged colony. They are searching for any survivors." Liam froze. Mira's hand tightened around Aralune's fingers. Aralune kneeled in front of them. "It's all right. They are here to help." The children exchanged uncertain looks. For so long, Aralune had been their only protector. The idea of meeting humans again after all they had lost brought both hope and fear. The Queen continued softly. "The fleet requests permission to visit the palace. They want to confirm the children's safety." Aralune looked at the children again. "If you want, we can meet them together. I will not leave your side." Liam hesitated, then nodded slowly. Mira pressed closer to Aralune, whispering, "Only if you stay with us." "I will," Aralune promised. The next morning, a human rescue ship landed on the same platform where Aralune had returned weeks ago. Guards stood ready, though calm. The Queen observed from the balcony above, while Aralune and the children waited on the landing floor. The hatch opened, and 3 human officers stepped out. They wore clean uniforms and carried kind expressions. One officer, a middle-aged woman with soft eyes, stepped forward first. "Princess Aralune of Lumeris," she said respectfully. "It is an honor. We received your message about 2 surviving children. Are they truly alive?" Aralune stepped aside gently, revealing Liam and Mira behind her. The 2 children watched the humans carefully, unsure whether to step forward or hide. The officer's eyes softened instantly. She knelt, lowering herself to their level. "Liam, Mira, we've been searching for anyone from your colony for months," she said softly. "We didn't know if anyone survived." Liam looked at her quietly. Mira lowered her eyes, unsure how to respond. The officer continued in a gentle voice. "You're safe now. Thank you, Princess, for protecting them." Aralune nodded. "They were alone and frightened. I could not leave them." The officers exchanged a meaningful look. They admired the princess's care, and they sensed the deep bond formed between her and the children. The lead officer turned to Liam and Mira again. "We can bring you back to human space, to a new colony, or to a human family who can care for you. But we will not force you. You may choose." The words hung in the air like a heavy cloud. "Choose." Liam looked up at Aralune. Mira immediately moved closer to her, holding her hand tightly. Aralune spoke softly. "No matter what you choose, you will be safe. You can stay with your own people, or you can stay here with me. All that matters is what your hearts want." The Queen, watching from above, felt a deep warmth at her daughter's gentle tone. Liam slowly stepped forward. His voice trembled a little. "If we go, is Aralune coming?" The officer shook her head gently. "She cannot leave her world." Mira pressed her face into Aralune's arm. Tears collected quietly in her eyes. "I don't want to leave you." Aralune hugged both children softly. "It is your choice. You will not hurt me by choosing either path. I only want you to be happy and safe." Liam thought hard. Mira clung to Araloon, silent but trembling. After a long, quiet moment, Liam looked up, voice firm despite his fear. "We want to stay." Mira nodded quickly, burying her face into Aralune's shoulder. Please don't make us go." 9. The officers froze in surprise, then softened with respect. "You have formed a strong bond," the lead officer said. "We will honor their choice. They may stay under your care, Princess." Araloon looked relieved. The Queen, watching from above, felt her heart shift in a way she had not expected. She saw clearly now. Her daughter had not returned with burdens, she had returned with love, purpose, and new strength. The next few days involved detailed planning. Human authorities agreed to share guardianship with Lumeris, allowing the children to stay where they felt most secure while keeping connection to their human roots. The Queen personally arranged for tutors who understood human culture, gentle caretakers, and medical experts so Liam and Mira could grow in comfort. Palace workers, once unsure about the humans, now greeted them warmly. Some offered them small treats. Some brought toys. Others simply smiled at them, happy to see them safe. One afternoon, as Aralune and the children walked through the long, glowing hall, Liam asked softly, "Are we really allowed to stay forever?" Aralune brushed his hair back gently. "You are allowed to stay as long as you want. This palace is your home now." Mira slipped her small hand into Aralune's, her eyes shining. "You're our family," she whispered. Aralune's heart warmed. She lifted both children into a gentle hug. "And you are mine. And you are mine." A few guards watched from a distance, smiling quietly. It was rare to see such pure affection in the royal halls. When the formal arrangements were complete, the Queen called for a small palace gathering, not a grand celebration, but an intimate evening under soft lantern lights. Only a few nobles attended, along with key advisors, workers, and the human officers. The purpose was simple: to welcome Liam and Mira officially. As the gathering began, the Queen stepped forward. Her voice was calm and warm. "Tonight, we honor two young ones who have shown courage, kindness, and intelligence far beyond their years. They came to us through hardship, but they brought us hope. They stood beside my daughter during a time of danger, and through their presence, they helped us all see strength in gentle hearts." She turned toward Araloon and the children. "My daughter has grown in ways I never imagined. And these children have grown with her. Therefore, they will remain here, as part of our palace family, protected, supported, and loved." Soft applause filled the room, not loud, but sincere. Liam held Aralune's hand tightly, while Mira rested her head against the princess's side. After the ceremony, the Queen approached the trio. Aralune bowed her head respectfully, but the Queen lifted her chin gently. "Aralune," she said, "you have shown true leadership. Not through force or authority, but through compassion. That is the strength of a true queen." Aralune blinked softly. "Mother, I only did what felt right." "And sometimes," the Queen replied, "what feels right is what leads to the greatest change." She looked down at Liam and Mira and smiled warmly. "Welcome home, little ones." Liam smiled shyly. Mira hugged her quietly. The Queen's expression softened even more at the unexpected embrace. Later that night, Aralune took the children to the moonlight terrace. The sky glowed silver as the waves shimmered below. Liam leaned against the railing with bright eyes, while Mira sat beside Aralune, resting her head on her lap. "You know," Aralune said gently, "when I left this world years ago, I didn't know what kind of leader I wanted to be. I only knew I wanted to help someone. Somewhere." She looked down at the children. "I didn't know that someone would be you too." Liam touched her hand. "We're glad you found us," Mira whispered. "We're not alone anymore." Aralune wrapped her arms around them softly. "No, you are not alone. Not ever again." The Queen watched from a distance, unseen but deeply moved. She realized something powerful in that moment. Her daughter had returned, not only with children but with a new light within her, a new form of leadership, a new kind of family. And in that quiet, silver glow of the moons, the queen whispered to herself. After years away, my daughter did not return alone. She returned with the future.